Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome. My name is Elizabeth Willett. I am Senior Herbalist with the Natural Fertility Company. Our websites are thenaturalfertilityshop.com and naturalfertilityinfo.com. And I welcome everyone who's joining today. We're going to talk about how to naturally address having a heavy period. It seems like we have trends in the emails that we receive through our websites for support. One of the things that I've been helping women through a lot lately are heavy periods. So I thought, why not talk about it? We've talked about periods in the past, but we haven't really specifically focused on either heavy or light or absent or frequent or infrequent or anything like that. We've just kind of talked about general menstrual cycle health. So let's just jump into heavy periods. The average woman who has a normal menstrual cycle typically loses between, roughly 2 to 3 tablespoons of blood during her period, her entire period. It may not seem like a lot, but that's pretty typical and pretty average. But there are women who experience loss of much more. Women who have heavy periods typically lose or can lose up to 5 tablespoons during her entire period or more because typically her periods last longer. And this is really troublesome for a lot of women. Not only is it annoying, but it can cost a lot of money going through new undies and sanitary napkins and tampons and or whatever you choose to use in that regard. But it also can be really tiring and fatiguing and make you not feel well in general. So that's why women reach out to us. It's worrisome. It's definitely worrisome. So some signs and symptoms of having a heavy period, which is clinically called menorrhagia, are if you feel that tiredness, fatigue, lethargy, you just don't have a lot of energy or the energy that you normally do. If you're soaking through 1 or more sanitary pads or tampons every hour for several hours of the day, if you're losing more than 5 tablespoons of blood. I know we can't necessarily usually measure that, but if you use a menstrual cup, you may be able to measure that. If you're needing to double sanitary protection throughout the day, if you need to wake up in the middle of the night to change your sanitary protection, that's a sign and symptom of heavy bleeding. If you bleed for longer than a week, if you pass blood clots that are larger than the size of a quarter while bleeding heavily, in the absence of miscarriage or having another fertility health issue, which I'll go into a little bit, that's a sign of having a heavy period. Any symptoms of anemia or any bleeding that would restrict your daily activity, your normal, regular daily activity, those are all signs and symptoms of having a heavy period. There are many causes of heavy periods. Hormonal imbalance, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but is one of them. Typically, it's an imbalance in prostaglandins, and in short, a result of having excess estrogen. Excess estrogen or estrogen dominance, which is usually accompanied by lack of progesterone. There are other reasons, though. Fluctuations in your weight, nutrient deficiencies. It's really interesting that nutrient deficiencies, particularly deficiencies in vitamin C and K, can be linked to having heavy periods. High levels of stress. A lot of times people don't understand that stress can cause heavy bleeding, but can also, on the flip side, make a period be absent. It's really crazy. It can also contribute to anovulation. Being more sedentary than usual. If for the weeks leading up to your period, the 1 to 2 weeks leading up to your period, you're, for whatever reason, more sedentary than usual and not getting adequate circulation to your uterus all the time, the blood can build up in there, and then when it's time to have your period, shed a little more heavily. And anovulation. For sometimes women who don't ovulate in a cycle or more than a couple cycles in a row or don't ovulate at all can have heavy periods or no periods at all. Other causes that need to be clinically diagnosed, of course, but that are often found can be endometriosis, uterine fibroids, PCOS. I said anovulation, blood disorders, genetic blood disorders, or any blood disorder that causes coagulation issues. The use of medications that thin the blood. and the overuse of medications or supplements that thin the blood, even natural supplements. If one were to use something like the herb Dong Quai or systemic enzyme therapy excessively, more than she should, it could contribute to having a heavier period. Adenomyosis is another one. Thyroid health issues can cause heavy periods. Pelvic inflammatory disease. The list could probably go on, but those are things that I have written down for today. But if you have been diagnosed with any of those things, or you suspect any of those things, it's really important to work with your doctor and or a natural practitioner who can help you focus your program in on addressing that issue in particular. And that would be probably beyond what I'm going to share next, a variety of ways to traditionally support healthy bleeding during a period. Usually we suggest some form of liver nutrients for the liver support. Things like milk thistle would be worth learning about, dandelion root, perhaps even liver cleansing, but that's not something you would do while bleeding. But these are things in the long term that might be helpful. Hormonal balancing herbs, things like Vitex and maca would be worth learning more about. But in the thick of it all, so if you have heavy periods, things to consider having on hand, extra of, or having on hand to use during those heavy bleeding days to help the body reduce that and to help, help you get through those days are extra vitamin C, perhaps an iron supplement. A whole food iron supplement is best if you, particularly if you feel those symptoms of anemia like fatigue and tiredness or lethargy, an unusual lack of energy. Having iron on hand would be great. There's also a product called Slow Flow to learn more about. It's something you can take during heavy bleeding days. A lot of other things aren't suggested during those days, but this particular herbal supplement is. It's made with astringent herbs that help tighten tissues throughout the body and can help get that bleeding a little bit more under control. It's herbs like ginger, yarrow, crane's bill, life root, shepherd's purse. There may be others in there. Periwinkle. I think it also has vitamin C and vitamin K in it as well. And we also have a tea recipe. If you're interested in making tea, you can definitely reach out to us for that. I'm going to tell you here, so you can either take notes or reach out to us. But you could find an herb store or an herbalist near you to work with to create your own tea, an herbal infusion of yarrow flowers, shepherd's purse, nettle. Nettle is a fantastic dark green leafy herb that actually is rich in iron and other vitamins and minerals, but the iron is really why we put it in this tea. And hibiscus leaves. Hibiscus leaves are, or flower petals, actually that's what they are rich in vitamin C, and vitamin C is necessary for helping the body properly absorb iron. So if you wanted to make a tea, you could choose to find these herbs and use 2 parts shepherd's purse, 2 part yarrow, 1 part of nettles, dried nettle leaves, and 1/2 a part of hibiscus petals. Combine them all and then put 1 tablespoon into 8 to 10 ounces of water and steep it for 15 to 30 minutes. You can drink 2 to 3 cups of that a day while you're experiencing a heavy period. It's actually a really fairly mild, rather tasty tea. I have on my own, because I am an herbalist, combined the tinctures of these herbs for myself and use them, and I think it's been very effective, and it doesn't taste too bad. Tinctures can have a little strong taste, but let's go back and backtrack just a little bit. If you experience heavy periods, consider having on hand extra vitamin C, a whole food iron supplement, or a supplement like Slow Flow. Learn more about that if you want to, or the herbs to have to make yourself a tea. I think that having this tea might be a lovely thing to do while you're trying to relax and trying to help your body find balance again. And then in the long term, in the absence of any of those fertility health issues that I've talked about that also have more of a plan to consider, you'll want to maybe consider some hormone balance support if you're not already doing that, and I covered that just a little bit ago, but things like learning about Vitex and maca, for example. There may be others, but those are the 2 kind of main ones. And then liver support. You could cleanse if you wanted to do a fertility cleanse, or consider something like milk thistle and dandelion root that can be taken long term. They're very nutritive to the liver and helpful in helping it function as it really should be able to. So I know that was really quick and kind of the bare bones about having a heavy period, but I wanted to cover this to get this out there for all of you ladies who come to us on Periscope and who will later see this on YouTube, so that you have a place to start and have an idea of what you can have on hand for those heavy bleeding days, just to get you through them so that you can focus and perhaps have a little bit more energy and not be so tired. And then move forward with figuring out why it's happening, and if you know why, seeking additional natural therapies to help your body balance and deal with the why, the fertility issue you have. So if you have a heavy period and you're worried about it and you're sitting at home alone, don't just sit there alone. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to us at the Natural Fertility Shop or Natural Fertility Info. Our team is here to help. No question is silly. Reach out to your doctor, or at least call your doctor's nurse and talk about it and see maybe what you can do. They may have more of a medical approach and suggest a prescription. But for some women, that also is okay. You know, there are days when, or times when you maybe just need it to stop so that you can, the bleeding to stop so that you can focus and move forward in a positive way, and hopefully in a way that's going to help your body rebalance and prevent that heavy period from coming back every month, month after month after month. So I hope this is helpful. Reach out to us if you have period questions, and I'm going to come back next week and talk about the opposite, what it means to, or what it means to, and what's going on when you have a light period or something that's really short, a period that's really short. All right, until next week. Bye.